helping CEOs and business leaders discover the energy to perform exceptional brilliance and positively impact the lives of those around them. Be inspired by world leaders and next-level gurus. This is the Active CEO podcast, where the ordinary don't belong. And now your hosts, Craig Johns and Ben Gathercole.
On this episode of the Active CEO podcast, we get the opportunity to speak with a phenomenal lady who sees no obstacles and loves a challenge. Growing up and living in Saudi Arabia, where gender equality is viewed from a different lens than many other parts of the world, she has created a highly successful dental business, Dentalia Clinics. Her tenacious, determined, and open-minded approach to the world allows her to take on opportunities that many other people would never dream of and be highly successful. Alongside her entrepreneurial ventures, this beautiful soul and beaming light is an associate professor at King Abdulaziz University, trustee on the board at Tufts University, and in 2018 became the first Arabian female to qualify and complete the Ironman World Triathlon Championships in Kona, Hawaii. Ben and I are happy to introduce and welcome to you, our very special guest, Dr. Dina Al-Tayeb. Dina, welcome to the show.
Hi, Craig. Very nice to talk to you again. You and I, met in Saudi Arabia many years ago. So I'm very happy to be here in the show, and thanks for inviting me.
Oh, you're welcome. You've developed a highly successful dental care business, Dentalia Clinics. When did you first get excited about becoming a periodontist? And how did your dental career start out?
Well, if you do know my personality, you know that I'm a very goal-oriented person. So ever since I was young, we once visited a dentist in Switzerland, and I thought it was very exciting. His office was exciting. There were lots of tools, lots of drawers that opened, and that's when I set my mind on it. I said, I'm going to be like this one day. So I've always wanted to be a dentist. That was my dream. I finished high school. I got married first, then I went to dental school.
Yeah, wow, and dental school's quite a few years too.
It was a long journey. It was a long journey, and after that, when I was in dental school, on my first few years, I met this phenomenal periodontist, one of our professors. She was young. She was enthusiastic. She had a charisma, and I just again set my mind on this, and I said I wanted to be a periodontist. It was not an easy journey because by then I had 3 kids, and I had, my life was full, but I found a way to continue my studies. It was a long journey, but it was a beautiful journey, and one day I got my certificate and I was a periodontist.
So Dina, for Craig and myself here in Australia, maybe just fill us in a little bit about how large your Dentalia clinics are and the number of people that you might employ, and the sort of structure that you might use to run or be an entrepreneur in another part of the world.
Dentalia Clinics is about a 12-year-old business now. So we have started. We were all the same. I have 4 partners with me, 3 partners. We're 4 all together, and we are all classmates. So we all went to the undergrad dental school here in Saudi Arabia. Everybody then went to the US, UK, and we came back, and then this idea of Dentalia Clinics came. But at that time, it was a very modern concept. We were the first paperless clinic. We were the first clinic to have a digital software to incorporate the accounting, the patient's care, the charts. So we had at that time a completely new concept. Most of us were at that time university professors or university faculty. So we started this clinic. We were really focused on delivering the highest standard to the clients in Saudi Arabia, and I think we were successful in doing that. And now, about 12 years later, we have over 100,000 patients. We have about 20 between full-time and part-time doctors that work with us. We have in this existing facility, we have over 13 clinics. We work from 9 in the morning till 10 at night, so we do see a lot of patients, and I think we're still as successful as we were 12 years ago.
And that's obviously grown very quickly because you've got 13 practices now and you've just been in operations for 12 years. That's a credit to your vision and your drive.
Yes, I'm lucky to work with 3 other partners. We all share the same vision. We look at Dentalia as a Dentalia family, not just a clinic. So everybody that work with us share the same vision. They all feel that this is a family. Our patients, our suppliers, they all feel that this is they're loyal to this to Dentalia, and we're really proud of this. We're proud of what we've built. We were chosen a few years ago as one of the fastest 100 growing companies in Saudi Arabia. For 2 years in a row, we received an award for this. So
Wow.
it's great. It's an exciting business. We're still now, even with more competition, there's still a lot of room to grow. We work at a high standard, and we're focused on just keeping the same high standard, employing the best doctors, having the best technology in this field.
So that's a great achievement, and obviously your business has grown, as you said, relatively quickly. So has your role as a founder and owner of the business changed as the business has scaled and you've increased the number of clinics?
Our role is still the same. It changes quite a bit. I'm mostly involved in marketing, in promoting the clinic. I'm also quite involved in having Dentalia as to support a lot of sporting events because of my passion and because of triathlon and what I do. We've always sponsored the swim competitions. We had Dentalia Marathon. We sponsored a bunch of events. So my role is more focused on that aspect.
And just an interesting, different question here. So sponsorship of those events, do you see that as really good a good commercial proposition, or is it just something that yourself and your co-founders just like to put back into society?
I think it is a role where we promote health and wellness. And part of health and wellness, especially the mouth and the oral cavity is linked to the overall health. So when you promote that, you promote that the people are more healthy. You promote, you just set an example. We set an example by being there. I set an example by being an athlete in my dental clinic for my coworkers, for my patients, for my clinics, for my receptionist, everyone that works in the clinic, and for our clients as well. So I think it's just more of, we don't look at it as okay, this is dollar versus dollar, how much you put in, how much you take, but it's more of promoting health and wellness.
And what were the biggest challenges and lessons learned when you're establishing the business?
The biggest challenge is you do invest a lot. If you want, it's not an easy. You could go at a much lower quality and make much bigger profit quickly, but that's not what we wanted. I feel that the biggest challenge is we as a dentist is not selling a commodity, is not selling a service, but he's providing a service. So that to me, that role cannot be shifted. We're not selling something. We're promoting a service. We're giving a service to the client, and in return there is, in return you get paid. But in my mind, this is a huge challenge that needs to be kept. Everyone needs to be on board with this. You provide the highest quality. You provide the highest standard, regardless of the economy, regardless of what happens around. You still keep your standards and you keep your values.
So you talk about the highest standards and the highest qualities, which is exactly what high performance businesses do. But just, I guess I'd like to bring up, to be honest here, the word dentistry is a bit scary to most people. How does your team ensure that people overcome the fear of dental clinics and just seeing their dentist?
First of all, it changes by when you come to Dentalia Clinics, you look at it as a family. So this is not just a big clinic with white walls. So everything in the clinic gives you a homey atmosphere, from the colors we've chosen, from the music that's playing in the background, from the even the doctors that we employ. We always look at the personality that fits the team, that fits the vision of Dentalia. So when you go in and you feel a little more comfortable, because now this does not look like a normal hospital, you get a little bit more comfortable. And if the doctor that works with you is highly skilled and will spend the time that is needed explaining to you the procedure or taking you through the steps that is needed, I think eventually you just got to give it 1 or 2 tries. And most of the times the client change their mind of how scary this experience can be. And when you use the latest technology, it makes the procedure simpler, less painful, quicker.
Yeah, I think, for me, I think over time it's starting to get a little bit easier, and I think that whole atmosphere makes a real big difference. So, I think you're explaining there is you're making everyone feel really comfortable and at ease, so that they're kind of distracted a little bit from the actual dentistry work that's going on.
That's our aim.
You talked a little bit about being the first sort of dentist business over there to go fully electronic. What sort of other technology is really changing the way that you're able to do your dental work in Saudi Arabia?
The technology in the dental field is changing tremendously. The challenge, I think, is to know what is really beneficial and what is just a gimmick, just another gadget that you get in your dental clinic. I think laser is changing the how we perform a lot of procedures in dentistry. I think all the fast equipment, like the drilling, the hand pieces, everything is getting faster, it's getting better. The materials, implants, dental implants has changed tremendously how we do dentistry. So it is, but I think our challenge or our expertise is to bring whatever is there in the U.S. or whatever is there in Australia, whatever is there in the U.K. here to Saudi Arabia. So whatever, if you travel and you go to a dental clinic anywhere else, you will find the Dentalia Clinics just as good.
So where would you consider the world leaders of dental clinicians or dental clinics to be?
I think the U.S., Sweden, Germany, the U.K., Australia as well. I mean, you guys have good dental schools. We do send some of our students to Australia.
Wow. Yep.
And you talk about, students there. I know you've been involved at King Abdulaziz University for 23 or more years now, as both a teacher and associate professor. What is it most that you like about teaching? I mean, I can really feel that passion in your voice when you talk about the industry. What drives you?
As a teacher, what drives me the most, or the satisfaction that I get, is watching the student, watching teachers and teaching them, because I do teach them the same subject for 3 or 4 years. So their transformation from day one, when they're a little scared, they've never been with a patient before, until they graduate, they're fully confident, they've developed as a doctor, they've developed as a human being. So to me, watching that transformation is extremely satisfying, and that's what keeps me going in the teaching business.
I don't think it's too dissimilar to Craig and myself, who come from coaching backgrounds, and that's certainly one of the joys that you get from coaching. You see people's journey and their learning and their open mindset and what they're able to achieve as they've gone along that journey.
That's correct. And if I can inspire one student, and if I can be a role model for them, that to me is the biggest gift that I can ever receive. And I do every now and then, meet some of my previous students, and they look at me and they're like, "Oh, you taught us about this, and that changed our life, and or we saw you do stuff. You're a runner, or we do some sort of activity." And to me, that is extremely rewarding and satisfying and gratifying at the same time.
Yeah, and so as you evolve as a leader, you're now taking on more governance and advisory roles. What is it like being on the Tufts University Board of Trustees, and how is that changing your perspective in your own business?
It makes me realize really that all institutions, all education institutions or businesses, they all share almost the same challenge and the same issues that we discuss, whether we are here at the university or whether we are at Tufts or whether we are at the board of trustee meeting. Almost everyone, it makes me really realize how different, but yet how similar we all are.
Yeah, especially you're obviously, that's in the US and you're based in Saudi Arabia, so it's just really nice to get that different perspective, and I suppose that diversity on the board as well must be really interesting too.
Yes, and if I can get something, if I can learn something that would be beneficial that I can apply here to my clinic or to my, give a piece of advice or information to the university here, that's always an added benefit. But really, it was a big eye opener to see how similar we are, regardless of where we come from or what hat we're wearing or what dress we're wearing. We're all the same. We're all just human being individuals that are looking to be better, that are looking to have our businesses successful and trying to overcome the challenges that we face every day.
It's interesting you say that because, as I said, Craig and myself from a coaching background enjoy that education, but also in this active CEO role, we've spoken to a lot of people now, and the same theme continues to come through with leaders, and it's something that we're learning as we go, and we're quite passionate, and it sounds like it's very similar to what you've learned on your journey.
Yes, that's correct.
Yeah.
That's correct.
And are you starting to see more women starting businesses and taking up leadership roles in Saudi Arabia?
Absolutely, yes. A lot of women, a lot of very successful entrepreneurial businesses, whether it's home cooking, whether it's something that they do, whether it's a shop, whether it's an idea, whether it's a healthy store, lots of different businesses, and they're all very, very creative.
Yeah, and is there like a catalyst to why that's starting to expand a lot more now?
No, I think just that we have now easier regulations. The government is making it more easy for people to start their businesses. A lot of these young people that went to school in the States and went to school abroad, they all came back and they all want to bring the change that they've learned or the concept that they've learned back to Saudi Arabia. But they're being creative because they're making it in a way that fits the culture, that fits the need of the community.
Yeah, and obviously, as you say, they're starting to reduce some of those restrictions, and it's been quite a monumentous year in a number of things such as women able to participate in more sport, physical education being made available for girls, and the ability to drive. So that must be really changing the game, so to speak, and allowing more females to be more active and being more involved in the community.
Yes, absolutely. It's a very exciting times. We're all excited. There's a lot of doors being opened. There's a lot of opportunities, and whatever idea you have, whatever passion you have, you can make it work. It's easier now.
So I guess I'd like to move on a little bit about the triathlon side of your life and how you stay active and how you actually fit this in, because you mentioned before that you have 3 children. So you have family, you have business, your university studies, your board commitments, all these sorts of things. Yet we know the commitment it takes to be a triathlete, and so that just astounds me. So can you just talk us through how you actually got involved with triathlon?
When I lived in the States, I've always liked outdoor activities, and I've moved in my life, from martial art to tennis to scuba diving to a lot of different stuff. The common factor was that I've always loved the outdoor. So when I lived in the States, I started cycling, and I was always a runner. And then, by chance, I stumbled upon this world of triathlon. So, and that was my first triathlon was in 2002. And the whole idea was pretty new to me. And I never knew anything about Ironman, and I thought that was an absolutely impossible challenge to do, and no one should ever let their body go through such a horrendous experience. But as I love challenges, I always look for something more. So I started doing the small ones, and every year I say, okay, what's next? What's next? Until I found Ironman, and it inspired me. It honestly changed my life, because what you go through in that day, in that full 12-hour or 13-hour, whatever it takes you, all the emotions that you go through all the determination. It's at the end you go to the battle between your mind and your body. And if your mind can win, your body can do anything. And you cross that finish line and you tell yourself, if I could do this, I could do anything in life. And whenever I'm faced with any challenges in life, I look at it, I'm like, okay, this is my Ironman now. So I'm just going to have to be resilient, and I'm just going to have to keep going and focus on what's important. And that's what's going to get you to the finish line. But you every day you determine what is your finish line. Where do you want that finish line to be? What is your goal and what is your priorities? I do wear, as you can see, a lot of hats. So I have the mother hat, and I have the CEO hat, and I have the professor hat. And the time management becomes a little bit of an issue. What is your priority for the day? And I've really learned through this whole experience, or this 15 years of a journey that I've embraced, is how to become fully present in whatever hat you're wearing. So if I'm swimming and I'm thinking of the business meeting that I'm about to have, my swimming is not going to be good, and by the time I get to my business meeting, I'm going to be stressed out that my swimming didn't go well. So it's about being fully present in whatever you do, giving it your best. But if you're not going to be perfect at everything. So every day you set the priority of what do I want to do for this day, and what hat deserves my attention.
So talking about those hats, did that change when you took on triathlon? Like, did you really find that you developed a lot more skill sets that helped you through your work in the business field and teaching?
I think definitely an Ironman journey is a long journey. And you cannot do it. You cannot do it without hard work. You cannot do it without training. Every day you cannot have less than 6-9 months of serious training. So you have to be prepared. And that in life, sometimes your challenges, or if you want to be successful at any business you choose, you got to be prepared. You got to put in the effort that is needed to get to the finish line. And if you don't, you're going to realize quickly, when the race starts, you're going to realize, like, oh my God, I should have been more prepared. This is not going to go well.
I think you might feel that each time you line up for an Ironman. It's always, I wish I was more prepared.
You do.
Yeah.
But sometimes, you got to be also okay with, I've given it my best. Given the situation, giving your obstacles, giving the different hats that you had to wear through the day. It's just about being present and doing your best for that moment.
So could you just explain a day to us? Like, how early do you start and how does it pan out for you mostly?
So I start quite early. I wake up early. I like to have my morning relaxed time. This is the time when I just kind of ground, meditate, pray, and just set my priorities for the day. But that starts really early. And then after that, I do about an hour and a half of a workout before I go to work. I go to work typically and finish around 5, 6 o'clock. I come home, my kids are grown up now, so if they come and have dinner with us, and then after that, it's just family time. My work stops at about 5. What I do is I always try to, like, if I'm done with work, that's the end of work. Work doesn't come home again. Because that's, again, being, wearing the hats. If you're not fully present at the family hat, then you just, life becomes messy.
That is so crucial. And talking about journey before, I think every triathlete, every Ironman athlete has a completely different journey. And so for you, obviously, you have to look at ways to be quite innovative in the way you train. The environmental conditions in Saudi Arabia, also the cultural values. How does that? What sort of considerations do you need to take into place when you're setting your training and when you go about your training each day?
Well, when I started my triathlon journey, the whole world of triathlon was pretty new. Look at it like 15 years ago. Not a lot of people knew about triathlon. It was a pretty new sport. So at that time, even here, we didn't have as many outdoor facilities. So I did a lot of my training indoor. So I was on my indoor training for many hours. I was on my treadmill. I was in the indoor pool, and I found this as a challenge. It wasn't a huge. It was just an obstacle. Each of us has an obstacle. You could be training in cold weather and you don't have the nice weather to be outdoor. Or you could be, it could be very hot the other way around. So those to me were just a challenge that I had to do in order to get to the finish line. Nowadays, of course, things have changed. I have more opportunities. We could go, running outside. It has opened quite a bit, so it's much easier, much more enjoyable. My other biggest challenge is that I was always alone. I didn't have a team to train with. None of my friends knew any about this. So I was the only person in Saudi Arabia that did triathlon. Nowadays, more and more, it's more open, so it's more enjoyable when you have someone to share this experience with. But again, I thought to myself, this is my challenge, and if I want the finish line, I gotta just be persistent and just do whatever I have to do every day. And it might not be perfect, but this is what I could do. This is what I have around me.
So in those early days, you didn't have many people to train. What did your friends and your family think of this whole journey? They must have thought you were a little bit crazy, so to speak.
I think they just, even until now, they just don't quite understand.
Yeah.
What is this? She's always doing something, and she does these races, but I don't think some of them, the close ones to me, do understand. But it's different than, if you do attend an Ironman, if you do watch it, it is a life-changing experience. So I think unless you change it, it's something very difficult to explain.
Yeah. So in 2005, you became the first person from the Middle East to complete a full Ironman triathlon, which is a great achievement on its own. This year, you achieved a goal that you've been focused on for such a long time and are very passionate about. Can you tell us what it was like? What emotionally did you feel when you qualified, and then when you went on to race at the 2018 Hawaii Ironman World Triathlon Championships, which is the holy grail in triathlon?
So because I train indoor, what I do mostly is I have the TV on, and I watch these DVDs about all the Kona Ironman. Every year Ironman produces a CD or a show about the journey, the Ironman journey, and who qualified and their stories and their journey across the finish line in Kona. And I've watched it for more than 15 years. I've watched here from 1987 was the first year until 2017. And every time I watched it, I looked at it and one day I'm going to be there. One day I'm going to be there. But the journey was difficult because I didn't have the skills. I didn't have the means. I was there on my own. And how am I going to ever be there? But something in me said, you will be there. One day you will be there. And I've met a lot of people across, during that path, during those 15 years. Some believed in me and some thought, oh, well, she's crazy. She'll never make it. She'll find something else to think about. And some said, oh, well, this is such a high goal. Why don't you put something more realistic for you? And I said, no, this is my goal. This is no one else's goal. This is my dream. And this is the number one item on my dream. So when I qualified in Chattanooga, I need to pinch myself and come back and say, oh, did I really make it? Am I going to be there? So then when I got to Kona, I was faced with all these beautiful emotions. Like, am I here? So is this, was my dream to be here, or was my dream to do something else? And then just going through that experience, that race day, it was to me a huge celebration. It wasn't about the race. It was just a celebration of being on that Kona land and running on the same, pavement where all the legends did, swimming in the same water, just being part of that experience. And I embraced every bit of it. It was to me really emotions cannot describe what I felt during that day. I was the proudest of myself, and everyone around me was, whether they understood what I do or not, they always know that there's something in Hawaii that this girl wants.
It's so good to hear in your voice.
The emotions,
the emotion.
The emotions after that, and okay, now you finished your dream, and so what's next? Now you've achieved what you've always dreamt of.
And so, what is next?
I think next is, well, I would love to go to Kona. I love it so much to go more and more. And every year I'd love to qualify again and make it there at the start line. But I think passing this knowledge and this experience and my lessons that I've learned in all these years. And they're beyond the race. There's something bigger than the race. They're just lessons of the essence of life and your goals and your dreams, and not to give up, and passing this to new athletes, passing this to the community around, inspiring them to never stop dreaming, never stop, never let anyone define your dream. Your dream is your dream. It's no one else.
And could you just enlighten me on who your triathlon heroes are? Who did you love to meet when you were in Kona? Who were you?
Dave Scott, of course. Dave Scott is my ultimate.
And did you get to meet him?
Also the ones, when you look at it and you see, like, we amateur athletes, who do we aspire? Athletes that we can connect with. Not just, not ones that just train 24/7 and they've got no life and this is all they do. We want to connect with people that have a similar issues like us, that have a family, that have got kids, that have to manage something else, that have got a business, and how they're our role models. They're who we like to connect with. I love to, like, everyone that I met, I think was inspiring. The fact that they made it there is, to me, a huge accomplishment, whether you're an amateur or whether you're the top professional. And
were you able to meet Dave in Kona?
Oh yes, Dave knows me well.
Oh, fantastic.
I reminded him of myself every time I pass.
He's a very humble man. He would have enjoyed that.
So do you encourage your team to lead an active and healthy lifestyle? I mean, you talked about sponsoring different sport events, but do they get involved as well?
I think I honestly think if you are a good role model, you just by being present there, you inspire them. So they all my the doctors that work with me, they all really get excited when they do something sporty, or then when they set a goal or something. They just come and talk to me about a challenge that they have, or that they want to do this but they don't know how to do it, or they want to do a 5K or want to do a 10K, or just want to be healthy, or they don't like their lifestyle right now. So I think it's just setting an example.
That's very good. And so do you have any rituals or habits that you do each day to ensure that you bring your A game or the best version of yourself?
Yes, and I've evolved through the years. So what I was 15 years ago is I'm a different. I've evolved to hopefully become a better person now. You have to ask the people around me. So I've learned to relax a little bit more, be less uptight if things don't happen the way I want them.
Do you really think the kids say that to you?
Oh, well, you got to ask them. But I like to start my day. Big part of my ritual is to start my day meditating and praying, and just set the intention of what you want to achieve on this day.
It's a great way.
And at night, being grateful. Every morning I write my list of what I'm grateful for, and every night before I go to sleep, I remind myself of how grateful to be able at least to do what I love. I've had years when I was injured, when I just looked at people running, and I looked at them like, oh my God, I wish I could just run a little bit, but I just can't because I'm injured. So being grateful to be healthy, to do whatever you want. This is the biggest gift that we can have.
Such a great approach to life. We all know that smart people have great answers, but the best people have great questions. So when was the last time you did something for the first time?
Kona was the first time.
That's a pretty good answer. I like that one.
And I remember the first day I swam there, and like, oh, this is nice and calm. Where is the swell that everyone's talking about? And the next day it was there. So to me, every time Kona, I think, was a challenge. Like I went there thinking, I'm ready, I'm prepared, and I was humbled. I was humbled by the energy of the island. I was humbled by the conditions. And in 2-3 days, I'm like, okay, let's finish and do the best we can. Drop any expectations.
So if, obviously taking Kona out of the equation on this next question, but what would be one place that you would like to go and race?
Roth.
Roth, yeah.
That is on my, but I didn't want to do Roth before doing Kona. But Challenge Roth is one of the other races that I would love to do. I try always when I do an Ironman. To me, it's more about the experience. So So I'd like to embrace the condition, the energy of the place, learn about the culture. So I try to always do races in different countries, different regions.
And who has made the greatest impact on your career and why?
I've honestly had a lot of people that I've learned from through the years. You know, the coaches that I've worked with, I've learned something from each and every one. I work now with an amazing ex-professional athlete, Christine Fletcher, and I've learned a lot from her. We're of a similar age. She's, of course, you know, she's an ex-professional. So I did learn quite a bit from her, how to approach training, what does that mean to life, and how to balance between training and the rest of your life. You can't, it's different hats, as I said, and you have to wear all hats equally, because otherwise you won't be a happy individual. It's all about balance. It's all about doing the best you can, given the conditions that you have, and that's all you can ask for.
So Dina, it's been an absolute pleasure speaking with you today. It's brought back a lot of great memories from my time in Saudi Arabia and having some great conversations with you there. You know, some great take-homes from today, you know, about the importance of wearing your different hats and making sure that you're in that moment and that you're focusing on the hat that you're wearing at that time, and just allowing the rest of it just to sit idle until you move into that space. You've described a wonderful business structure, and it sounds like everyone has a lot of fun there, and you're really thinking about the customer and what makes them happy, what makes them relaxed when they're in that situation of what some may describe as the murder house, or a scary place to be when they're getting their teeth cleaned and looked after. You have such a wonderful approach on life, and it's just great to feel that the essence that you have and that drive that you have to continue to challenge yourself and set example for other people and try and bring them up. So I look forward to seeing what you do in helping more females and more people in Saudi Arabia and the surrounding regions become more active and healthy in the future. So thank you, Dina, very, very much for your time today. And hopefully we get to see each other soon in the next few months or years.
Thank you. It's a true delight to be on your show. I listened to your other episodes. You do a great job. I wish you the best of success, and I hope to see you in Saudi Arabia soon.
Thank you. It's very nice of you.
We'll have to second Ben and taking him to a different part of the world he hasn't been yet.
Yep, absolutely. Looking forward to it.
Both of you, you have my invitation.
Oh, thank you very much.
All right, well, thank you very much.
You're welcome.
This week's Active CEO Wellness Tip is around have you got rhythm in your life?
Yeah, so do you listen to music? You know, what sort of music gets you in the groove when you're out training or when you're relaxing?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, there's certainly a well-documented and good science behind what music can bring to your life in a deeper sense. And even that sort of, I guess, shallow, so to speak, training type music is one thing, but really that relaxation and that real calmness is probably an important thing from my mind.
Yeah, I know there's certain music that gives me kind of a meditative type state, whereas there's others that just get you pumped up and the adrenaline's flowing, and nothing like a bit of AC/DC when you're out on the bike and you're charging up a hill, Ben.
Well, I don't know about that one, Craig, but I must admit that my interest is pricked a little bit about the music in the water nowadays. They've got some speakers that you can listen to while you swim, and I've also seen the wireless or the Bluetooth earpods that go in when you swim too. And I've never experimented with that, but it'd probably be quite different, wouldn't it?
Yeah, it is. You know, when we were in Taiwan, we had underwater speakers, and I used to love it when there was no one in the pool and get the fins on, and I'd just go underwater for ages, and it was just so relaxing. And I tried training with music in the waterproof earpieces, and I found it okay, but I'm a very methodical type trainer, or especially was then. I used to be counting rhythms. I very focused on my technique, and it was something that's how I like to swim. So I kind of found music a bit of a distraction, unless I was doing a really long type swim effort where I didn't have to worry about too much around what my technique was doing or pace times or anything like that.
You can certainly use the music along that metronome type theory to give you good rhythm and just sort of keep you in the groove.
Oh, and you see that obviously with at gyms.
Yep.
right? That's what they use for things like body pump and the other different types of aerobic sessions that they pull together, group training sessions, and that's what gets people going. And I know a lot of people would never get out and do exercise unless they have music.
Yep. So I guess our message here is there's many different people and many different styles of music, and to find the style that really motivates you in whatever sense that happens to be. So whether it's trying to be calm or with rhythm or to drive you and pick you up, it's quite a important component of what you can do.
Definitely, and I think also you got to just make sure that the sound level is appropriate for your surroundings. The last thing you want is it to be pumping through your ears and you're riding through intersections and things like that, and you kind of get distracted, and obviously you want to know what's going on.
That situational awareness is obviously number one.
Absolutely crucial. It's been another great podcast, and what an amazing treat to be talking to the beautiful Dr. Dina Al-Tayeb today from Saudi Arabia. Just a beaming light of energy and enthusiasm and passion for everything she does.
Yeah, absolutely. And what I was really amazed about, Craig, and we spoke to Susie Hoytink in episode 5, I believe, and she runs a Clear Complexions clinic here in Australia, and the parallels between their business and their care and their real vibe and their motivation to put the customer first and make the customer feel part of their family as the core component of their business. It was amazing.
It was so surreal, actually. And you can see that, and I know when I met her as well, family was so important, and she did really, really care about the community and about just people in general, and that really shone through in the way that she approaches her business, the way she teaches, and being involved in triathlon. She loves being around and learning everyone's journeys and stories about why they're there and how their race went, which is pretty cool.
And there's no surprise from either Susie or Dina about why their businesses are such successes. It's amazing.
Oh, very successful. And so I liked as well. I think she started to unravel a little bit around how she deals with challenges and obstacles and a bit of adversity and her resilience to that. And I think that has, each time she goes through an Ironman event or a challenge, it makes her stronger. It makes her understand things a lot better, doesn't it? You can really feel that shine through.
Oh, absolutely. And one of the things that we did forget to speak about with Dina was her Instagram handle, her Arabian Triangle. And I know that she is really proud of the things that she does, and she really engages with social media, which is another thing that comes across all the leaders that we speak to. Everybody's really engaged in their social media for the right reasons. It's just not a selling point.
Yeah, she tells me, look, that eagle has been a strong presence in her life, and it's her spirit animal, and so that's where the Arabian Triangle comes from. We don't always, think of, I suppose, females in Saudi Arabia being in a leading position or taking a role in the way society works, but you can see she's really passionate about getting more people more active, and especially in those female side of things. And I know she does fun runs and just getting people more active, which is exciting to see.
Craig, I know that you've spent quite a bit of time there, and I've never spent time there, and it certainly now interests me. But do they have the park run type events there?
No. Well, they may do now. I mean, in previous, it's a place where communal gatherings wasn't accepted, right. And so generally, and people didn't exercise that much either. And if they did, it was maybe inside their compound or in a gym or something like that. And
that's obviously for cultural, but there's also environmental. It's too
it can
hot.
Get very hot there.
Yep.
I know one day I was there, it was 55 degrees, and very dry though. So it gets hot, but very, very dry, except for maybe 6 weeks in summer, which I wasn't there, where it gets very humid. And I'm sure that's a very challenging time. It's actually very pleasant in the middle of their winter. It's got very mild nights, and obviously with no humidity, it's really easy to sleep. It's easy to go and train at that time of year, but a challenge to go outside. I mean, I know cycling there is pretty dangerous. It's not that fun with so many cars around, and probably not as observant or respectful to cyclists as they are in many other parts of the world. So another great episode. That was the Active CEO podcast. where the ordinary don't belong.
Join the active CEO movement by visiting www.nrg2perform.com. That's NRG2perform.com. Share this podcast on LinkedIn and be sure to tag in NRG to Perform. Leave a review on iTunes. Drop us a line with your feedback and questions, and connect with us on the NRG to Perform Facebook and Instagram pages. Be sure to check out the next Active CEO podcast, where the ordinary don't belong.